Hey, I'm Georgia Lyons and this is Intros. Today on the show I have the absolutely incredible Molly Payton here. Molly, welcome to Intros.
It's awesome to be here. I like your seats.
Thank you. I like my seats too. I like the guests in the seats, obviously. Let's start with you enter into the music industry as a 16-year-old. How did that start for you?
I kind of had this crazy fairy tale experience. Background before that, I went to Catholic school and I had a horrible time and I was really just unhappy. And then my mum was like, I want to go to the UK for work for a year. Would you want to come with me? And I was like, yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please, Mum. And then I went to this art school and I met Oscar Lang, who's still my best friend and an amazing musician. And he was like, what music do you listen to? Because our music teacher said we should hang out because I didn't have any friends.
Amazing.
He was like, Beaver Doobie, I know her. And I was a big Beaver Doobie fan at the stage. And he was like, I recorded that song. And I was
gosh.
fuck off. I feel like when you grow up in New Zealand, you don't really meet your heroes that often. And then he introduced me to B, and we became friends. And I kind of got into this really amazing group of super young and driven musicians.
Amazing.
Yeah, I guess that showed me that it was possible to do it as a career. And things started from there. So I had a really lucky break, I think, of just right time, right place.
When did you first start releasing music?
It was interesting that it took ages for me to actually release music. So gigging this is pre-pandemic, obviously. Gigging was how I grew as an artist. Heaps of my base that I built was before I'd even released music. I remember opening for Palace because I met Leo and was writing with him for a bit. Leo Wyndham, who's the singer of that band. And so I got to open for them at the Roundhouse before I'd even released music, which is a 3,000 cap venue. And gigging was always going to be the way that I thought I was going to make it. You know? It was never going to be social media or I don't know. I just always thought that I'd do heaps of gigs and that was how I'd grow. And then obviously the pandemic happened, and then released my first music at the very beginning of the pandemic, and it was shit.
Go us.
So yeah, I feel like I had to completely restart my musical journey from there, which was tough. I'm still, like you said, still figuring it out.
So being an artist, a massive part of that is having the right people on your team. You had your very first manager when you were 16. Tell me about that. How did that come about? How was that for you as a 16-year-old?
Honestly, again, gigging as much as I could. The guy that found me, I just was playing an open mic and he came with another guy because I was posting on social media when my gigs were.
Did you have any hesitations about signing on to a manager? How did you know, yep, this is the right thing for me to do?
I had literally no clue. I just didn't know anything at that age. I just knew that I wanted to do music. I think consistently throughout my career, there's been points where I've been unsure, but I've always been quite driven. I've always known, the moment I knew that it was a possibility, I knew that this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah, sure.
It's my,
and for you, were you okay, this is what I want to do. I need to get a manager to help me kind of open those opportunities up. And
it was more just I knew I needed to do something.
Sure.
And when you're that young, I just feel although I knew people, I didn't know anything about business or the industry.
Yeah, sure.
And I was something needs to happen and this has been offered up to me and I might as well give it a go.
Yeah.
That was my mindset. And that has still kind of my mindset with things is
Which
just
is amazing.
Try stuff as much as you can and don't get comfy.
If someone was listening to this, watching this, they were also young and maybe looking at taking on a manager, wondering if that was the right thing for them to do, what would you have done differently, if anything, and what would be your advice that you would give?
I think for me, I'm very much don't regret anything. I've done some stupid stuff, but every thing you go through, especially in music, is a huge learning opportunity. I've had some really hard stuff happen and it's made me way more capable and smart. Now, I'm not with that manager anymore, but he was still a really awesome presence in my life for 5 years. I went through a lot of stuff with my family. This is an important thing, actually. You speak to your manager every day for you're looking at your manager
a million times.
Honestly, the only advice I'd say is do a trial first and make sure that they're a good person.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's I think it should be getting into a real serious relationship, date around a little bit. And if a few years in it's not working anymore and you don't feel you're good for each other, then you should call it.
So beginning of last year, you came back to New Zealand from London. From what I understand, it's been a pretty massive journey in that space of time for you, a massive year.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I had initially come back to support Beaver Doobie on her tour, And then Oscar came to visit me for the first time in New Zealand, which is awesome. And while he was over, we decided, since he had come all this way, that we should do some recording. And then that turned into very, very quickly recording my first album.
Amazing.
But recording that here, I think, after I had a really tough couple of years prior, I just realised I was really at peace and like enjoying making music, which obviously probably sounds like a given considering I love it, but it really, the last 2 years I like had a writer's block for like 8 months and being put on all these sessions that I really didn't want to do with like pop writers, and I just stopped liking making music, which is crazy. And it became all about money because I was poor and I was in London, and I was like, I need to like make money, so I need to write these pop songs and put them out and make money from them. And so I came back here and made like an album that I was really proud of. I like wrote fresh songs for it, and like was just so excited and happy. And I realised after doing that the best thing to do would be to kind of just stay in New Zealand for a year and get a job, so that music wasn't what I was making money from anymore.
Sure.
And then I made the decision to part ways with my manager that I'd had since I was really young, which is a huge decision to make as well. Then right after that, I found out that the album wasn't going to get signed by the label I've been with. Which was a big,
That's really hard.
freaky time in my life,
Yeah.
because it was suddenly like, oh, I'm going to change this one thing, and then everything changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I freaked out for a little bit, and then after that,
Understandably.
yeah, especially when you've been like surrounded by people since you were so young, like suddenly being like alone in it to a certain extent was like really. But yeah, after that, it actually kind of all it was obviously for the best. I didn't feel like that way at the time, but I worked real hard and paid for like the end of the recording myself, and then New Zealand On Air got a grant from them to make all the visuals, which was...
Thank you, New Zealand On Air.
Thank you, New Zealand On Air.
We love you so much.
We love you so much. And then because I was, paying things for myself, I suddenly became way more involved. So I produced the record alongside Oscar, which is the first time I've produced myself. And then when it came to visuals, like coming up with ideas for the music video myself, and then developing them with Oscar Keys and Damon McCabe, also known as Jack Berry, was his music name, but is now doing like heaps of visual stuff. And so the two of them and myself were like a team, and we developed all these cool ideas. And so like I was, for the first time in my life, really happy with the visuals that we made.
Amazing.
And I just never, I guess, would have taken control of everything and like gotten into the driver's seat like that if I wasn't independent and paying for myself. And like all of it had to happen, I think. And now I'm in like a really great place creatively. And I feel like I can now go back London and be in control a lot more of myself.
So you've been both signed to a label and now independent. What are some of the differences between the two?
I've been real lucky, I think, in my experience with labels. Like I've done quite short and very chill deals. So like I haven't taken advances. It's just been like marketing funds or like, so I probably haven't had like the full label experience yet.
Sure.
I'd love to be like, being independent is like the best and like, but like I think there's just benefits to both.
For sure.
Like,
I agree.
It's great to have money, and I think if you want to, like, what I want to do now, if it's my first album and I want to like kind of get it out all over the world rather than just New Zealand. And I think in that sense, having like a big group of people around you who know what's up and what they're doing, and an extra 5 or 6 people who are there to help you out and keep you going even. So if you're like happy with having creative input from the outside, which like I actually always have been, I do believe that the more hands that go into something, the easier it is to be proud of it.
So today you're going to perform for us a new single off your upcoming album called Accelerate. Talk to me about the song.
Accelerate is probably the last song that I wrote for the album. An important thing for me with the album was to like kind of encapsulate all the projects I've released so far, because I've released heaps for like how old I am, and I had all my ballads, my little acoustic ballads in there, and the more like shoegazy, like rocky, grungy stuff. But I just didn't feel like I had something fun. Like I didn't have like like the song that was just like fun and like just like driving and like having fun with your girls, like listening to a fun song, that song. And the first verse is almost this like ironic, I don't know, like I'm just like so like little and dumb and I'm just a girl, like very, it's about throwing yourself like very quickly without thinking into anything really, but in this is kind of like the very literal sense of the lyrics, just into a relationship. Like most of my songs, there's like a deeper undercurrent there that I think when you listen to the rest of the album, would come out a bit more. During the pandemic, I went through something that I haven't spoken about before this album. It's been a big part of making it, is writing about my relationship with my dad for the first time. And I think the song, in a sense, and you can kind of hear it in the second verse a bit more, is like, you know, like, fuck him and like, fuck all this like shit going on in my brain. I just want to like run away with this guy, and like truly wanting to escape from yourself and from everything and just have an easy, fun time. That's what the song is.
I think you're really brave, obviously, talking about it and writing about it.
Yeah.
You know, you're an incredible songwriter. Like, listening to your work, like, I just think it's mesmerising. So I'm really excited to hear you play and to hear the bigger project with the album. Do you have an artist that you want to give a shout out to? Someone that you love? Share with our Intro's audience.
It would have to be Saltwater Criminals, because Scotty is just like the best writer and musician I've probably ever met, and played a huge role in my album as well. Like, fucking drums, guitar, vocals, like recordings, and he does everything himself. So, yeah.
Saltwater Criminals.
Saltwater Criminals.
Okay, I'm really excited to see this journey unfold for you with your album, and beyond that, like, in your corner all the way. So thank you for being here, for sharing your story.
Thanks for having me.
You're amazing.